and then they sailed me down and they should put me ashore. Problem was that we were stopped by the ice. So they left me in a small dinghy with 2 outboard motors.
Welcome to Polar Podcasts, where you'll hear stories from geologists who've spent their careers, their lives, exploring and studying the remarkable and remote geology of Greenland. Why did they become fascinated with Greenland? What were the problems and the discoveries that drove them? And what was it like working in these remote places where few people venture, even now? I'm Julie Hollis. In this episode, we hear from Bjørn Thomassen, Emeritus Senior Scientist at the Geological Survey of Denmark and Greenland, about his one-man expedition in East Greenland while working for the Nordic Mining Company in 1973, an expedition that subsequently resulted in extensive exploration for copper.
In the summer of 1973, I'd been working for years for the mining company, because I started out as a summer assistant and then they offered me a permanent job as a student helper. And it was a cozy small company in those days, in the 70s, because there was the old director, Viggo Brink, and a secretary taking the phone. And then the young Austrian mining engineer, Erik Hinsteiner, who was exploration manager and who had actually taken the initiative to get the start prospecting. He was not director. And the reason why they didn't kill the company after the lead zinc mine was empty in 1962 was that in the meantime they found this very large molybdenum deposit called Malmbjerg. And they drilled it and made all reserve calculations, and it was very large, world-class. It was world's third largest molybdenum deposit in those days, in the 70s. Problem was, it was the grade, the metal concentration, they were a bit too low to make it a good business. Especially because it's situated in that place between 2 glaciers. To mine it, you have to excavate a 12-kilometer long tunnel out to the Mestersvig to get the ore out. So it was nearly there. So with a bit higher molybdenum price on the world market, it would be a feasible operation and they would start mining. So that was kept alive in the company because the company had a license, a very good license, a 50 years license covering the whole of East Greenland for both exploration and mining. So as long as the economy was right, they could go ahead. But it came to nothing. And then in the meantime, Erik Hinsteiner started up exploration, and he had been a mining engineer at the lead zinc mine, and he fell for Greenland. He was taken in by Greenland and wanted to work there. So actually he worked up to one of the major shareholders, Knud Lauritsen, ship owner, and proposed to start mineral exploration, and he was allowed to do that for the interest of the share capital, which was 1.5 million pounds. And for that sort of money, they could, on top of running that office of 3 persons, they could hire me in as a student helper, which they did. So there were permanent staff of 4, and then hire in summer people from that Austrian university, and hire a helicopter for the summer, and do the operation in that manner. So that had been going on in 69, 70, 71, 72. 73, there was no exploration because there was an evaluation of the work we had did. So there was no field season. Summer of evaluation, we had some specialists coming down from Outokumpu and Boliden to check the report and the quality of the work we had done. And eventually they said, it's okay, you can continue. But that summer, as I said, no exploration. Then Erik Hinsteiner, he was keen to go to Greenland. He said, well, we on fixed salary, we can go up there because there will be no extra expenditure for the company. So Erik Hinsteiner, he went up and sailed around on a boat in Scoresbysund and had a good time. And I was sent up with a ship, supply ship, and 2 boulders had been found the previous summer with copper and galena, and I should travel down to Viknehalvø, southeast of the Mestersvig, and check out what was the story of those 2 boulders, because we've never seen anything like that before. The boulders consisted of sandstone. And the cements in the sandstones, they were, in one sample it was a copper mineral, black copper mineral, chalcocite, and the other the grey copper lead mineral called galena. Unusual, I said, or minerals that will sit in veins, in quartz veins, or like in granites, like in Vendbjerg. So why are they sitting in sediments? So anyway, I went down there, and the story was I should be sailed down by the crew on the airfield, Mr. Svig, which was there was a tele station, a radio station. So there were radio operators. I should help them unload the ship, which I did, hard work, and then they sailed me down to Vikenhalvø, and they should put me ashore near to that locality. Problem was that we were stopped by the ice. So they left me, and I had to go back to the airfield doing the radio things. So they left me in a small dinghy, aluminium dinghy with 2 outboard motors, 2.5 meter long. And so I had equipment, food, camping gear, and a radio, Raka radio, which never worked, by the way, and a rifle, of course. Sitting in that boat, she said, you just wait to midnight, and the high tides will open you a channel along the coast. You can go around. It was in Cap Brown, 25 kilometers down in that shore, and you can walk into the area you're interested. So I was sitting there at Cap Brown until midnight. It's a midnight sun. The sun is beautiful weather, sky clear, and nothing happened. I thought, well, it's I can't just sit here. So I turned the boat and full speed ahead, 25 kilometers to the bottom of Flemmingfjord, which is on the west side of Vikenhalvø. And suddenly I went on this mud bank, boop. So, and then I waited. There was 500 kilometers from the coast, so I started to shallow water, but there's a delta from one of Picknelsdale, one of the big streams, the muddy delta. So I started to carry the gear in back and forth to the dinghy, and when it was empty, I could haul it in and secure it. And then the next problem was that I was in the wrong fjord, so I had to cross over the pass over to on the east side of the route of the peninsula in what's called Devondale. And I took a day, and I had to walk 2 times, especially because of that very heavy radio, which never worked because it was a blackout. So in those days, radios didn't work when there was a blackout, radio blackout, something with the sunspots and things like that. Anyway, so I spent 2 days there, back and forth. And the deal was those people that would come in 10 days and pick me up at the same place where they left me. So I walked in there, and then I had 6 days on the locality, and I investigated and found outcropping those beautiful sedimentary sequence in the Perma-Triassic.
The Perma-Triassic is a period of geological time from about 300 until about 200 million years ago.
With 7 separate horizons with mineralization. Various sorts of mineralization, various rock types, various types. Mainly copper, but also lead mineralization. Those are the 2 main elements. And I thought, great. And I never heard about the sedimentary ores at that time. I thought I knew everything after I spent 2 years at university, but apparently I didn't, but I learned that. So I've eaten my food, so instead I put rock samples in my rucksack and carried them back again 2 days, back and forth, and found my boat and got it in water and sailed up to that hut and was waiting for the people, and they came and picked me up. And everything went beautiful, but it was what I call my one-person expedition, and I'm quite sure it would not be allowed these days.
I'm Julie Hollis, and you've been listening to Polar Podcasts. In the next episode, we hear from Emeritus Senior Scientist Agnete Steenfeldt about starting out with the Geological Survey of Greenland exploring for uranium in 1972.